Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. I want to jump in right there because I struggle with that. Teaching, we focus on shooting a ton at our school. It's one part of the game that we really hang our hat on.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I talk about their shot with them. I feel like every day I'm praising them for the adjustments. Just if they're shooting great, just keeping them going and helping them be mentally tougher, that it'll never fail. There'll be a kid that'll come to me one day. Coach, I met with a shooting coach and you told me this and this, and now I'm really, and maybe I'm not mature enough yet to get over the fact that I'm pouring in every day, but yet one person, one time says something and now it's fixed. Now you're on the path. And I don't know, maybe you can help me.
Hey, did you have a cool uncle? Did you have a cool uncle who would say things that your dad wouldn't say, but it was gospel? You said it and your dad was just nagging? Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Well, that's why ultimately you have to have a leader, because you got to have somebody on your team that will speak what you would say in their own voice. Not be coach's boy. You don't want to be that.
Yep.
Got to be a guy who's willing to pass on the messages in your own voice. And the bottom line is a team without a leader, which the first leader is the coach. Second leader has got to be your player leader. But it's like you ever see a speedboat that doesn't have a rudder? The faster you go, you just spin in circles, right? That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
You have to have a rudder to direct a boat into a direction. Now, if you got a rudder and you got some power, now we can get someplace. But if you got no direction, you spin in circles. Yeah. And that's why this whole idea that the Lakers were going to be anything but a joke made me laugh, because I predicted that from day one. Anybody who bet the Brooklyn Nets as the favorite to win the NBA championship year should be drug tested. No, they'd melt the cup if they drug tested that person, because they have to be an idiot. Easy. I mean, you kidding me? Because what's your experience with all-star teams? They're not teams. They're not teams. Hey, here's an interesting one. I was talking to the general manager of the Strasbourg, France team over there when I was with John, right? And he was talking about when John got injured, they brought a G League kid in, right? And they don't like the G League kids because they don't guard anybody. There's no physical contact at all. They won't touch anyone.
Wow.
And Nicole went further. He said, Tom, if I won't take a player that has been in the G League for 3 years, because they're content to play in a non-defense, non-contact, hey, look at me, I'm auditioning for my next job. They're not willing to do the little things it takes to win. Because even if we don't think Strasbourg, France is a big deal, to Strasbourg, France it is. That GM's still responsible for winning. They still have to have their goals of what they're trying to accomplish and everything. And so we talked about the G League, like Jamias Ramsey, the kid that went to Duncanville. Hell, he went everywhere, like 4 high schools in 4 years. And then he went to Texas Tech, remember? And then he came out. He's never played. I don't think he's played a game in the NBA yet. And he's probably never going to. He's third year G League. So where do you go now? And there's nothing wrong with being an agent. All right, nobody ever says when they're an 8th grader, gosh, I hope one day I can go to school at North Texas, right? Everyone's going to UT, everyone's going to A&M, right? And nobody ever says in junior high school, I hope one day I can play professional basketball in Iceland, Bosnia, Turkey, whatever. Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Good money, didn't you? You made some pretty good money, didn't you?
It was really fun. Fun. Yeah.
But the whole point is that was never their goal.
Yeah.
So I used to talk to, here's one for you. I talked to Sagona, who's been up at Collin County for about 80 years now, right? And I was talking to Jimmy one day. He's one of the best guys ever. And I said, Jimmy, who you recruiting? I said, Tommy. He's really, I got his voice like, Tommy, you don't recruit at JUCO? He goes, what the F? He goes, these guys don't ever think they're going to JUCO. He goes, you wait until the dream dies and then you talk to them the next week. And if they want to come play for you, they come play for you.
Once reality sets in, then I'll talk to them.
Right. Well, that's my point about playing overseas.
Yeah.
So am I going to get in line with you when you're a 4-star 11th grader and you're a 4-star player because your last name is James and you could dunk a ball in 8th grade or, whatever.
Yeah.
But what kind of settle itself out? Because the bottom line, though, is there's a lot of opportunities overseas for those players. There really are.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? You made me think of the fact there's a big possibility that players aren't as different now as we think they are from even when I played. Maybe there is a time, where there was a big shift, but this idea of players now are soft compared to even 20 years ago or compared to 40 years. When my first few weeks in Iceland, I had a few teammates tell me that I was a different type of American. And I asked them, I was like, what do you mean by that? And they're like, we typically don't like playing with Americans. And so I dove deeper. They said because they don't play hard. They don't hustle. They don't really care. And I mean, I took my brand of basketball that I had from Baylor that I had to adopt because I couldn't, we had talked earlier, I wasn't athletic enough to survive this hard-nosed, take charges, dive on the floor, give up my body mentality. I took it over there and I just fit right in right from the very beginning and flourished into the point where they they had a chant, and I haven't told many people this, but it was Mati Scrati, which means Matt the Devil, because that was my style of basketball and the fans loved it. They appreciated it there, but it was a different kind of basketball. So maybe it's not that necessarily that kids have changed that much. It's, or maybe the game has, but I don't know. I felt like what you're talking about, how the G League players are guys that struggle over there because they don't, that was happening back then.
Well, it's funny. You remind me of a story 25 years ago. Someone said, the kids of today have changed. And I countered by saying, no, the parents have. Right. So I still think you can coach the way you want to coach. I think, I would say, have the courage to tell the truth to players and just do what you want to do, but explain to them why you're doing it. You don't have to let everyone shoot threes. Look, you know what a 3-point, 2-point equivalent is. If you don't shoot 33% from the 3-point, which is equivalent to 50 from the twos, why are you shooting the ball? Because, and I don't know if you agree with the statement, but if a guy shoots less than 50%, he almost certainly is taking bad shots. Because if you're taking good shots, you should make half of them. Now, do you know what a good shot and a bad shot is? Well, we'll figure that out as time goes on.
There you go. That's the key. Yeah.
Right. But do you know what a good and bad shot is? Now, you're open at the 3-point line. Well, there's a reason you're open, son. They watch videotape too. Jesus, come on, man. Are you kidding me? So at some point in time, the idea that everybody gets to shoot the three is the equal opportunity, no. No one's going to post up, no. Like, you can't tell me you can't still run a 1-4 shuffle cut. The Nigerian point guard, the guy's 6 foot tall, 205 pounds. He's about 2% muscle or 2% body fat. And I don't even know where the 2%'s hidden. Maybe in his earlobes, right? So he kicks the ball to the wing. He rubs off the little screen. We pop the post out, right? And Bull's isolated in the post. He's 205 pounds being guarded by a 150-pound kid who's peeing down his leg. Why would you not do that?
Yeah.
And so I think the idea that you were afraid to tell a kid that he can't shoot the three, well, if you explain to him why, I mean, Larry Bird did when he was first coaching. He wasn't a great coach, but he's a pretty good GM. And when he was coaching, he used to tell people, he said, you earned the green light. You earn it in practice. Everyone's got a red light until you shoot 33% in practice. Then we'll give you the yellow. Then the yellow turns to the green. And Steph Curry and Golden State, I won't blame them. Let me qualify my statement. They probably destroyed the style of play for soft coaches in the sense that everyone wants to play like Golden State. Well, yeah, when you got the roster that Golden State's got, you just feel free to play like Golden State plays. Yeah. Please.
What a great point.
You don't have Steph Curry. You don't have Klay Thompson. You don't have Day. And even Draymond. You still needed Draymond Green. You still got to have an Andre Iguodala. You can't do it with that pretty boy soft guard crap, please. Yeah.
But let's also not forget really how difficult it is. You mentioned soft coaches wanting to do that. That won't work. Steve Kerr has to have incredible control over the actions that are happening, even though he's not calling plays, the actions that are happening, over the shot selection, over the culture of the team. Because if you try to play a style like they play, but guys don't understand what good shots are, the shot selection isn't something they know. Their egos are too big. Because what is impressive to me about that team more than anything else is the selflessness. Yeah. But when you and I are talking, it's May 3rd, and we're just coming off of Steph Curry reclaiming his starting role, but the dude was a sixth man for multiple games after being an MVP and a third-year guy playing over him because he's coming off an injury, and there wasn't one negative soundbite, facial expression. That's hard.
I didn't even know about that, but I'm willing to bet you that I know why. Because Steve Kerr, who's brilliant, and he's surprisingly tough. He's not Steve Nash, sorry, Steve, but he's got a toughness about him, right? Yeah. And I guarantee you, he walked up to Steph and said, "Steph, listen, man, I know you're struggling. I was a shooter. There are times you feel like you're throwing a golf ball in the ocean, and right now you feel like you're throwing a beach ball in a golf hole. So let's take the heat off you, bring you off the bench, just relax a little bit, take it easy. You're making $44 million on the court, you're making 44 off. You're having a good year, Steph. Just relax, take it easy. I got you. When it matters the most, you'll be there the most." And like that brings another story to mind. I went through a period of playing where I had 3 or 4 years in a row, I had a great sophomore. Right, Abdullah was a great sophomore. Joe Fultz was a great sophomore. Burkhead was a great sophomore. And I would always take these guys and say, "Listen, man, the worst thing on a team to be his coach's little, I won't say the word, little witch boy, little boy. You don't want to be that guy, right?" Mm-hmm. I said, "They're already going to think I'm baby to begin with." I said, "Look, are you good enough to start for his team?" They say, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. Do you care more about who's at the jump ball circle, or do you care who's playing the last 4 minutes? Okay, so then trust me." So every year I had a fake starter. Senior came in, not that I didn't play him, the guy who really probably should have been a 6th or a 7th man. You start him, see how it works out. But at the end of the day, what do you play? You play your best 5 players. Yeah, but by telling them that, explain it to them. Joe, I know you can start anywhere else in town. And people are going to say I'm an idiot because that was where I was really good coaching-wise. I would take a problem and be proactive as you can't imagine. I would get way ahead of that. I never let that stuff gather up on me. I hate to say it, but I lie sometimes. Look, it's
called point guard. We call them point guard lies. Point guards are the best liars, and they're white lies most of the time. But they in order to get a teammate or the team going in the direction, those point guard lies have to come out.
Up someone's butt, right? You just had to tell them what they needed to hear to get them through from point A to point B. It's really funny because I've said to them before. I said, I'll take a stretch. I'll say, "You remember when you were kind of melting down?" And I'll say, "Come on, man, that's all right." No, "Yeah, coach, I kind of remember that." They get that like, "Yeah, I remember you were pretty cool then." I said, "Did it ever dawn on your dumb butt I was lying? Did it ever dawn on you I was just trying to get you through the fog of war from point A to point B before you puked on yourself any more than that?" Yeah. So what's my lesson? You got to do that for those guys. Yeah. Sometimes you got to tell a guy it's okay and not show them up. We come back Robertson's senior year, right? We're a completely different team. John's junior year, he averaged 14.5 points and about 9 assists because we were loaded. Next year, we're not loaded. He averages about 26 a game and about 7 assists. But I told him, "You're going to have to score a bunch." Yeah. So we had this big Russian kid named Anton Korolev, 7'1". He wears a size 22 shoe. Can't play dead in a cowboy movie. He's brilliant. The guy works for NASA right now. He builds rockets. He's a great kid, right? He's got the worst hands in the history of America. So John's running a ball screen. And if you've ever seen a kid play, he just makes the perfect read. So, he'll stretch it and drop it to the slip guy, hit a little pocket pass, all these little slick things. And Anton can't catch anything. So John's getting frustrated. I said, "John, come here for a second." I said, "You don't like when I show you up in a game, right?" "No." I said, "Well, I don't really think Anton's too much like it. You're showing him up right now." I said, "On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rank his hands?" He said, "About a 1. I said, "No." He said 2. So you probably gave 1 point more than he deserves. But I got news for you. He's not going to catch the ball any better tomorrow than he catches it today. So at some point in time, you got to decide who you will and won't throw the ball to.
Yeah, knowing your personnel, like KYP, that's a huge thing. Yeah.
How many quarterbacks stop throwing the ball to certain receivers because the certain receiver is the one who always gets the ball picked because they let the ball get into their pads or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's a confidence level. I said, but as far as showing them up, because that's one thing I was really big about that. I would never want to show my players up because I showed you that courtesy, even though I have the right technically to be an ass, right? But because I showed you that courtesy, I expect that back double. We'll deal with this tomorrow. Shut up in the meantime, right? Know that everyone's watching and most of them don't like us. I'm obnoxious and you're from Plano. They don't like us. I used to say it all the time. I'm obnoxious and you're from Plano. They don't like any of us.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.